American armed forces in Somalia planning a showdown with a warlord. Dr. Kevorkian at the center of a legal tug-of-war over assisted suicide. And remembering the dream, 30 years after a watershed in civil rights.
This is NBC Nightly News with Tom Brokaw. Sitting in tonight, Jane Pauley.
Good evening. American forces landed in Somalia last December on what was supposed to be a short-term mission of mercy. But tonight, it is clearer than ever that the mission has changed. Elite U.S. forces have landed in Mogadishu to protect American troops increasingly at risk. Job one, neutralize warlord Mohammed Aidid. NBC's John Dancy has exclusive details.
NBC News has learned that if the Rangers and Delta Force commandos now in Somalia can capture the warlord Mohammed Farah Aidid, the UN is considering options. Options that include holding him on islands off the Somali coast or aboard ship until a court system can be re-established in Somalia to put Aidid on trial. The last time Aidid was seen in public was during an interview with NBC News. He has since disappeared. Defense officials say the option of taking Aidid to a third country is less likely, for fear the UN would lose control of him. Defense Secretary Les Aspin, in a speech today, says U.S. troops will stay in Somalia until security is reestablished.
First, the security issue in South Mogadishu must be settled. Second, we must make real progress towards taking the heavy weapons out of the hands of the warlords. And third, there must be credible police forces in at least the major population centers.
Aspin said establishing security is crucial to rebuilding the country.
The overall effect must be so that no group of armed Somalis should be able to take over the country by force or to impose their political will and loot the markets.
Aspin refused to elaborate for reporters on what's involved in his plan. But a military analyst who heard the speech said it's a big commitment.
Well, my fear is that it can become open-ended, that the criteria he set are very difficult to achieve. And in that sense, it will be open-ended.
In fact, NBC News has learned that senior military leaders were reluctant to commit the Rangers. Capturing Aidid, they say, depends on good intelligence, and the U.S. doesn't have that in Mogadishu. The UN estimates the chances of actually capturing Aidid, even with the Rangers and Delta Force, are only about 1 in 4. John Dancy, NBC News, Washington.
In this country, the next step in the long legal debate over assisted suicide. Is it a crime to help someone end their life? Forcing this question is Dr. Jack Kevorkian, who has been testing the system for almost 3 years. NBC's Don Fratangelo tonight. Whether Jack Kevorkian stands trial for breaking a law against assisted suicides may be determined by the power of videotape. In a Michigan courtroom today, prosecutors offered their evidence. Kevorkian admitting on videotape how he helped 30-year-old Thomas Hyde commit suicide.
I drove him to Belle Isle. I supplied the gas. I put the mask over on Mr. Hyde's face.
Hyde suffered from Lou Gehrig's disease. Today, in an emotional display, Kevorkian's attorney too played a videotape, taken a month before Hyde's death.
Can you move your arms like this at all?
With the help of his fiancée, who was in court today, Hyde expressed his desire to die.
I, Thomas W. Hyde, Jr., the undersigned, hereby request that my life of intolerable and interminable pain and or suffering be ended.
Hyde died on August 4th, the 17th assisted suicide for Dr. Kevorkian. His attorney is asking that the case be dismissed because the constitutionality of the law is in question, held up in a court of appeals. Even without a decision, Jack Kevorkian is succeeding at drawing attention to a controversial law, one that a legislature was so eager to adopt and a prosecutor was reluctant to enforce. In a strange twist, the prosecutor last week said he would propose legislation to legalize doctor-assisted suicides, and also said if terminally ill, he would ask a doctor to help end his own life.
I wouldn't have a moment's hesitation on making that decision.
If Kevorkian is convicted, the prosecutor won't seek a prison term.
He wants control, and this is the only control that he will have.
This videotape may determine if he ever goes to trial at all. Dawn Fratangelo, NBC News, Detroit. When Nightly News continues tonight, Friends and family mourn a young American woman, a victim of violence in South Africa. And Michael Jackson back on stage with some help from his friends as the child abuse investigation continues.
There's not a right or wrong answer with this, is there? You need some little goo-gons in here. You need some stuff, something. I mean, it's just flakes, darling. I'm afraid that people might get bored to tears. All right, it's fun. It is. It's got a, oomph. It does. It's got a crispiness. I like the simplicity of it.
Kellogg's Corn Flakes.
What's Kellogg's Corn Flakes?
Taste them again for the first time.
What a flake. Was my joke.
Look at me, enjoying a crisp red apple. Even with my dentures, thanks to Super Polygrip.
Super Polygrip holds so tight, many denture wearers can enjoy more of their favorite foods.
Even apples.
Super Polygrip.
When I get gas, I may look like this, but I feel like this, painfully bloated.
Gas-X has the most powerful medicine to fight gas faster than antacids.
So, I feel like me again.
Painful gas needs the power of Gas-X.
Another headache for the Pentagon tonight. Word that Acting Secretary of the Army John Shannon has been cited for shoplifting, allegedly stealing a woman's blouse and skirt at an Army PX in Virginia yesterday. He's been placed on administrative leave at his own request while the Army investigates. There's a report tonight concerning the father of the man President Clinton has chosen as the new chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, John Shalikashvili. According to researchers at the Simon Wiesenthal Center, a Jewish organization which tracks former Nazis, his father, Dmitry, was a member of the Nazi SS. A White House spokeswoman said today that the general's father's history is irrelevant. And the UN today lifted an oil embargo and other sanctions against Haiti. That comes in response to Haiti's move back toward a democratic government, likely to be led by ousted President Aristide. The sanctions have crippled Haiti's economy for months. UN relief workers have been struggling for more than a year to help the victims of Bosnia's civil war. Their latest challenge, getting food and medicine to more than 50,000 Muslims trapped in the city of Mostar. They finally made it yesterday and found a nightmare. NBC's Dennis Murphy tonight.
4 critically injured children, their bodies ripped by shrapnel, were evacuated from the Muslim east side of Mostar today. They were carried to 2 ambulances and driven through the Croat front line to a UN forces clinic. 10-year-old Selma Handizar's right arm was shredded by a grenade that exploded in her family's yard a week ago. Her 9-year-old brother Mirzad has lost his legs and possibly an eye. Another boy, an amputee below the knee. All victims of a continuing tribal siege that has lasted now for a year and a half. Christians versus Muslims. A British woman acting alone got the children out. Sally, how many more children are in there in bad shape?
There's 2 that I was hoping to go and get out on Sunday or Monday.
You're going back for more?
Yes.
In Mostar's hospital, the children's beds fill quickly. This morning, a 2- and 3-year-old brother and sister shared a cot. Shrapnel wounds from an exploding shell. Their mother was inconsolable. The doctor said they were too seriously injured to move. The hospital there is a grim scene. A ward of people shot by snipers and torn apart by fragments of shells. That is why the UN convoy that arrived in Mostar Wednesday night with 200 tons of food and medicine for the Muslims was taken hostage by demonstrators, mostly women. In their desperation, they believed that holding onto the convoy as a shield would protect them from further Croat shelling. Tonight, that convoy is still held captive by the people it came to save. Dennis Murphy, NBC News, Medjugorje, Bosnia.
And more on another horror story tonight, the brutal murder of Amy Beale, the American graduate student killed in a racial attack outside Cape Town, South Africa. The grief of those who knew her is mixed with a terrible irony. She was killed by the very people she tried to help. NBC's Jim Maceda has more.
At a memorial service on Thursday in Cape Town, friends mourned Amy's loss. The African National Congress, meanwhile, distanced itself from the 26-year-old Californian's murder.
That this kind of violence and the climate in which appalling acts of this kind are perpetrated should come to an end forthwith.
Beale, a Fulbright scholar in South Africa to help the electoral process, was dragged from her car on Wednesday in a township outside Cape Town. And according to friends,
was brutally assaulted and killed by people who were chanting, "Kill the settler."
despite their tragedy, the Beales say they hold no bitterness towards South Africa. On the contrary, they hope to become a positive force in that country's struggle for democracy.
Saying to you earlier.
At their Newport Beach home, Amy's father considers going to South Africa to continue her work.
Maybe there are things we could do that we should really be doing together to honor our daughter.
Her mother, Linda, hopes that the death of her daughter will not hinder South Africa's first general election scheduled for April.
That would horrify Amy. She wanted to be there for those elections. Oh, no. Oh, my God.
As faxes, letters, and flowers poured in from around the world, the Beale family seemed remarkably at peace. That, they said, was because Amy lived her life to the fullest. Jim Masada, NBC News, Newport Beach, California.
When we come back, more on the former Atlanta judge accused of having his wife killed.
The Buick LeSabre, Family Circle Magazine's Domestic Family Car of the Year. LeSabre won by finishing first in important family categories like value, comfort, dealer satisfaction, performance, safety, style, and of course, dependability. Buick LeSabre, a welcome addition to the American family.
Why Centrum Silver? Because you're over 50 and you're just hitting your stride. Centrum Silver vitamins. Because the latest scientific research about changing nutritional needs after 50 is built in. Centrum Silver. It's a great time to be silver.
Put traction into action because Goodyear Traction is on sale now. Save on selected Goodyear Eagle Performance tires, selected Goodyear Wranglers for light trucks and vans, and save on every all-season Goodyear Aquatread. Save now at Goodyear.
Oh, we dreamed about a vacation in Hawaii for 12 years. Then we get there and disaster strikes. We're all stuck in our room with diarrhea. So I bought Imodium AD. I heard it worked better.
Original prescription strength Imodium AD stops diarrhea, often with one dose, instead of dose after dose of the pink stuff.
With just one dose, our diarrhea was gone, and so were we, out having the time of our lives.
Imodium AD, the original prescription for one-dose relief.
A romantic epic adventure. From the thrilling saga comes the NBC television event. Trade Winds premieres tonight on NBC.
Saturday morning on Today, tennis star Mary Jo Fernandez.
Plus, who'll win the late night talk show wars? Join us Saturday morning.
And see what a difference today makes.
A prominent former judge is in a Florida jail tonight, awaiting extradition to Atlanta to face charges of kidnapping, conspiracy, drugs, and murder. NBC's Bob Dotson reports.
Money, specifically drug money, is the root of all evil.
In this case, those roots seem very deep. Agents now say former Atlanta Judge Fred Tokars was part of a sophisticated and ruthless gang, the federal indictment called the Enterprise. A drug ring that transported cocaine across the United States. Drugs they bought with counterfeit money they made themselves. The profits from these illegal drug sales around the country were funneled through a string of nightclubs and other businesses Tokars set up. Authorities say the gang's leader, Julius Klein, a reputed mobster, was gunned down in a gangland-style killing last year in Detroit. But the enterprise was already prospering under the direction of Tokars and 7 others in Atlanta, including Bill Carter, a former member of the Georgia Bureau of Investigation. Will there be more?
One piece of evidence can always lead to another.
Because of this investigation, 9 more counterfeiters have been arrested. The indictment says the enterprise began in 1986 and used kidnapping, torture, and murder to make sure their business survived. It didn't work. Tokars, the former Atlanta judge, is now in jail. 6 more are in custody. 2 are in hiding, but late this afternoon, federal attorneys announced that one of the men, Jesse Ferguson, will turn himself in on Monday. The ring is broken. Bob Dotson, NBC News, Atlanta.
Michael Jackson fans in Thailand today braved monsoon rains and traffic jams to see the pop superstar back on stage after missing 2 shows this week.
In Los Angeles, meanwhile, the investigation into child abuse allegations has uncovered no incriminating evidence so far. More from NBC's George Lewis.
As Jackson performed in Bangkok, the words of his song Jam seemed especially appropriate. No one will let him be. He remains at the center of a firestorm of negative publicity. Now there are all sorts of questions, not only about Jackson, but also about the other adults connected to this case. All sides have been leaking confidential documents, trying to put their own spin on the story. These documents, obtained by NBC News, show the 13-year-old boy who charged that Jackson molested him also spoke of negotiations to hush up the charges. In the words of the documents, Minor stated that he and his father met with Michael Jackson and attorneys for father and Mr. Jackson and confronted him with allegations in an effort to make a settlement and avoid a court hearing. The father's lawyer is Barry Rothman. NBC News has learned that Rothman was disciplined twice by the California State Bar for improper conduct. Rothman refused to comment about any aspect of this case. Police have questioned at least 4 boys about their associations with Jackson. One of them, Wade Robeson, appeared in Jackson's music video Black or White. Robeson says he has slept with Jackson, but that there was no sex involved.
It's normal. I mean, it's just like a slumber party where you go over to your friend's place.
The Los Angeles Times reported today a search of Jackson's homes has turned up no physical evidence to back up the charges of child molestation. The next stop for Jackson on his world tour is Singapore. His good friend Elizabeth Taylor left Los Angeles to join him this afternoon. George Lewis, NBC News, Los Angeles.
More tonight in the Rodney King beating case. Federal prosecutors claim the 2 Los Angeles police officers found guilty, Stacey Kuhn and Lawrence Powell, got off too easily with their 2.5-year sentences. They want the U.S. Court of Appeals to order a resentencing. When Nightly News continues, a reversal of fortune. Sears bounces back.
Good morning, sir. Would you care for a cereal?
Not just plain cereal. Let me tell you what really tastes great. First, I like to start with lots of delicious flakes. Then I'd sprinkle on a bunch of plump, juicy raisins and a few tender,
dates.
Yeah, dates.
Almonds?
Almonds are crunchy, good call. And what if we sweeten it with some brown sugar?
Brown sugar, of course.
Can you really make something that good?
Trust me, sir. We'll get it right.
The one-of-a-kind taste of Kellogg's Just Right. When it tastes this great, you know it's just right.
Today, there are hundreds of credit cards, but only one offers Smart Rate, now as low as 14.9%. This same card offers you cashback bonus on every purchase and no annual fee. The name of this amazing card? Discover Card. When it all unfolds, there really isn't a better value. It pays to discover, the card that pays you back.
You've seen these. Glasses that lighten and darken automatically. So had Infinity. That's why the rear view mirror in the new Q45 uses electrochromic technology to lighten and darken automatically for glare during night driving. So you don't have to think about it. Visit your Infinity showroom, and when you're ready to buy a luxury car, you won't have to think about that either.
Lease one of the world's most advanced automobiles, now at a very special rate for a limited time.
I drink V8 because...
Hey, I think it's good for me. It makes me peppy.
You got your vitamin A, your vitamin C. I like it because it has those beta-carotenes in it.
What's that word?
Beta-carotenes.
Pardon?
Beta what? You know, beta-carotene.
Muy sabroso.
Call me crazy, but I think it's delicious.
35 calories.
Really? 35? Yes. It's a kick. I love you. V8?
V8 keeps me thin.
It's zippy kind of thing, a zippy thing.
He owes a fortune in fines in the savings and loan scandal. So why is he living the high life while you have to pay? Past due.
An all-new Dateline NBC.
Tuesday.
A year after Andrew, Florida residents tonight are keeping a close eye on Emily. Tropical storm Emily, 800 miles off the Florida coast and moving slowly westward. Emily is expected to pick up steam overnight and could come ashore next week anywhere from Florida to North Carolina. A corporate comeback story now. Sears, out of the retail basement. Sales have soared and Wall Street likes what it sees. Sears stock has risen 30% in less than 2 months. More from NBC's chief financial correspondent, Mike Jensen.
This is part of a facelift that will cost Sears $650 million this year as the company modernizes 135 of its 800 stores. 113 stores have been shut down in the last year. 50,000 people cut from Sears' payroll of 350,000. 3,000 senior staff members are gone, including almost 400 store managers and more than a third of Sears' top merchandising executives. All this is expected to save the company $300 million a year. Sears was the most successful retailer in history, but in the 1980s it lost its way. Discounters and specialty stores took over. Last year, Sears lost almost $4 billion, the biggest U.S. retailing loss ever. To try to get back on track, Sears lured Arthur Martinez away from Saks Fifth Avenue, paying him more than $5 million last year to be CEO of Sears Merchandise Group.
Well, as a retail company, Sears had too many underperforming businesses, too many money-losing stores.
Sears pulled the plug on its 97-year-old catalog, it's getting out of real estate, and it's sold its brokerage business. It's expanding where it figures to make the most money, women's clothing.
We took stock rooms, we took areas that we had not used for merchandising in the past, and we turned them into floor selling space.
Apparel accounts for only a quarter of Sears' store sales, but brings in 60% of the profits. To get away from its dowdy image, Sears is getting glitzier, looking a bit like Victoria's Secret. It's teaching its employees the new way of doing things.
It needs something.
It's working. Profits of the Sears Merchandise Group were up almost $100 million in April, May, and June. Longtime customers are beginning to see Sears in a new light.
We've been starting to buy clothes here now.
That's the payoff, says Arthur Martinez.
I wouldn't say we're out of the woods, but we can begin to see some light at the fringe of the woods.
Would you like to put this on your Sears chart? I'd like to.
An American retailing institution back from the brink. Mike Jensen, NBC News, West Dundee, Illinois.
As much of official Washington wraps up its summer vacation, a taxpayers group was in federal court today challenging President Clinton's new budget. The conservative National Taxpayers Union says retroactive estate tax hikes are unconstitutional and should be repealed. On Wall Street today, the market slumped on this last Friday in August, the lightest trading in 5 months. When nightly news continues, I have a dream 30 years later.
When I decided to fix my porch myself, I couldn't quite believe it. So, who comes to the rescue? Well, handy he's not. And since when did you get all this energy? Ever since you got me started on breakfast with grape nuts. It's like he said, this box is full of great mornings.
Look, it's right here. Fat-free, natural energy source. I said try it a few mornings.
And I did. And it does help keep me going. You know, Dad, I think I have inherited your handiness.
Yeah, I think you inherited my toolkit. That's what he's got.
Post Grape Nut cereal helps keep you going strong all morning long.
It's Red Lobster's Lobster Fest.
Grab the gang and head on down to a swinging lobster party. It's the talk of the town. Hey, Tail, how you dip 'em?
Red Lobster.
How you love 'em? You don't need brass bands. Oh, you have fun just using your hands.
New combinations like you've never had before, all at special prices.
The lobster's just the best at Red Lobster's Lobster Fest.
Party's over in a few weeks,
so don't miss it. Red Lobster's Lobster Fest.
You want it? We got it. The all-on sale at Sears Brand Central. For 3 days only, all washers and dryers, all refrigerators, all cooking appliances, all dishwashers, all at least 10% off. All the top brands are on sale. All vacuums, 15% off. All sewing machines, 20% off. All camcorders, all TVs, all 4-head VCRs, all computers, all $10 to $200 off. So you want it? Come get it, because it's all over Saturday at Sears Brand Central.
It's only natural that children look to their parents for answers. So to help you explain why some things that may be fine for adults aren't right for children, Anheuser-Busch offers Family Talk, free advice from professionals to use with your kids while they're still learning to be grown up. And their favorite teacher is you. Let's stop underage drinking before it starts.
Now, Colin Powell, for the first time, a revealing look, his past and future. The General, an exclusive. Tom Brokaw, Katie Couric, now NBC Wednesday.
Tomorrow marks the anniversary of a breakthrough in American civil rights history. 30 years since the March on Washington. 30 years since I Have a Dream, Martin Luther King's vision of an America free of racial hatred. NBC's Robert Hager visits some Americans close up then and now.
The black and white pictures have faded, and for many Americans, so have the memories. But the historic importance has not faded. 250,000 people marched to the Lincoln Memorial for what is still the nation's largest civil rights demonstration. They heard a hope for the future from Dr. Martin Luther King.
I have a dream.
It set the stage for the activism of the turbulent 60s and focused the nation's attention on equality. Joyce Ladner on the right, 19 years old then, from Hattiesburg, Mississippi, at the rally, thinking she was going to change the world.
Did you go to social work school?
Joyce Ladner today, a vice president at Howard University in Washington with a doctorate in sociology.
A lot of my friends who were in the civil rights movement had been shot at. I had had mentors of mine like Medgar Evers killed, and what occurred to me was that we can go to Washington and get a redress of our grievances. I was fueled with this youthful optimism.
John Lewis, 30 years ago, head of the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee and one of the march's main speakers. John Lewis today, a U.S. congressman from Georgia. He remembers being forced to tone down his rhetoric.
I said something like, the day may come when we will not confine our marching on Washington if we do not see meaningful progress, but we may be forced to march through the South the way Sherman did, nonviolently. And some people objected to that. They thought it was a little inflammatory and suggested that I make some changes.
Ladner traced the steps she had taken 30 years ago and wonders about the steps the country has taken to improve civil rights.
The struggle was a lot tougher and more protracted than I ever imagined. I really did believe that freedom was around the corner and that all we had to do was just let good people know and it would be all right.
And just as the march did 30 years ago, Lewis hopes tomorrow's event reawakens the country.
The scars and stains of racism and bigotry are still deeply embedded in American society. And every so often you need something to sort of bring it out so we can deal with it.
Participants who will be gathering on the Mall tomorrow say they still have a lot of unfinished business. Much more they want to change.
The March on the 28th can send forth the message that the struggle is not over, that the struggle today is a little different in that it involves poverty a lot more, and that the enduring legacy of a Dr. King was that you struggle until you finish and that you don't stop.
And that is the point of tomorrow's march and of Martin Luther King's dream. Robert Hager, NBC News, Washington.
And that's Nightly News for this Friday. This Sunday on Meet the Press, the controversial free trade agreement. Tom Brokaw is back on Monday. I'm Jane Pauley. For all of us at NBC News, good night.